Sometimes when the day begins before the sun even rises, there is a moment when the world still breathes in silence. In this interval, everything seems suspended. Thoughts, they don't dispute, the future doesn't pressure, and the past doesn't call. It's like something invisible was waiting to be recognized. Have you ever felt this? The feeling that there is a subtle thread guiding your steps, even when you don't know where you're going. We live in a noisy time, where success is confused with haste, and we repeat empty gestures expecting different results. Still, there are people who seem walking lightly, as if they knew something that you can't learn from books. They don't fight against the flow, adjust their pace, listen, silently repeat certain words like someone who tunes an instrument before playing music. At the heart of Japanese spirituality is the understanding that words are not just sounds. They carry intention, shape the spirit, and organize the invisible space around us. When repeated with presence, they ask nothing of the world. They just align what is already misaligned. Like the simple gesture of washing your hands before entering a sacred place, correct repetition prepares the interior to receive. This video is not about formulas, nor about quick promises. It's an invitation to slow down and listen to what has always been there. 4 words. Simple, old, almost forgotten. Not because they have lost strength, but because they demand something rare today. Attention. I'll repeat them. Don't expect control, expect clarity. Don't seek power, allow harmony. If you feel like there is something invisible guiding your days, this path may resonate with you. Stay with me until the end of this first silence, and observe how your body reacts to the words that have not yet been said. Maybe the success you seek is not in achieve more, but remember how to walk together. When nature flourishes, it doesn't rush. She trusts the time, the season, the order invisible that sustains everything. There is a way to live like this, and it starts before the action, before of the decision, even before the word is spoken. Breathe. Listen, stay. What's next? It can transform your relationship with the world. If this initial silence touched something in you, allow yourself to continue listening. There is more than it seems, and each word will reveal a step of the invisible path that has always been under your feet. Now we continue together. Here, there are times when life feels like uneven terrain. We take a step and stumble. We move forward and something pulls us back. Not because we are on the wrong path, but because we are misaligned inside, like a tree that grows crooked when it seeks the light. Without establishing roots, human beings also lose strength when they act without inner harmony. In the Japanese spiritual path, there is a silent word that points to this adjustment: invisible. It doesn't require effort. It doesn't impose control. She just invites everything to occupy her due place. Just as the sun does not argue with the mountain before it rises, this word reminds us that there is a natural order operating even when we don't realize it. Aligning is not overcoming obstacles, but ceasing to fight against them. When we repeat this first word with presence, something gently reorganizes. The body relaxes. A breathing deepens. The mind stops pushing the world and begins, for the first time, to walk along with him. It's like adjusting the compass before crossing, not to control the wind, but to respect its direction. In modern life, we are taught to force fits, waking up when the body asks rest, smiling when the heart asks for silence, run when the soul asks for a break. This constant misalignment tires us, fragments us, and moves us away from what really matters. Repeating the alignment word is a gesture of return, a reminder that we need to fight to belong to the flow of life. Imagine a river that tries to climb the mountain. It runs out, breaks, disappears. But when you accept the slope, it gains strength, continuity, and purpose. Alignment works like that. It's not about giving up on your dreams, but about adjusting them to the invisible current that sustains everything. The success that comes from this state is not noisy. He is stable. When you say that word, don't say it for the world to hear. Say it inside, like who set up a sacred space before turning on the light. Don't expect immediate results. Alignment acts like roots, first invisible, then inevitable. Over time, decisions become simpler, more natural encounters. Previously confusing paths reveal effortlessly. This word teaches that being in the right place does not depend on external circumstances, but of internal coherence. When the inside and the outside stop fighting, life responds with clarity. It is in this state that opportunities arise without being pursued, and answers appear without being forced. If this idea resonates with you, it is a sign that something inside has already started to adjust. Stay. There are still other words, other invisible gestures levels that deepen this path. Alignment is just the first step, quiet, essential, and transformer. After alignment happens, something becomes evident. There are accumulated excesses, thoughts that no longer serve, old emotions that continue to take up space, habits repeated just for fear of emptiness. Purification does not appear as punishment, but as relief. Like rain that washes away the dust from the path, it does not judge what it finds. It just takes away what has already fulfilled its role. There is a word that carries this silent function. When repeated, it does not add nothing to life. She withdraws, removes noise, weight, and rigidity. It's a word that acts like water current, does not argue with dirt, does not fight against stone. It just passes. And as you pass, transforms. In everyday life, we confuse purification with extreme effort. We believe we need correct us, fix us, force us to be better. But this word teaches the opposite. Purifying is stopping carrying what is not yours. It's realizing that many pains were not born in you. They were just absorbed along the way. When repeated calmly, this word creates an internal space where silence can breathe. The body responds first. The tension in the shoulders decreases. The jaw relaxes. A breathing stops being short. The mind, accustomed to accumulation, finds this emptiness strange initial. But you soon understand it's not about loss, it's about lightness. Think of a mirror covered in dust. It has not lost its function. It just needs to be cleaned to reflect again. Purification does not change who you are. She reveals. When removing the excess, the essential appears clearly. Intuitions become clearer. Decisions, if make them less conflictual. The heart stops reacting and starts responding. In modern life, we are constantly crossed by other people's expectations. What we must feel. What should we want? What defines success? Little by little, this deposits within us like invisible layers. Repeating the word of purification is a gesture of return. What is not yours returns to the world. What is yours remains. This word also teaches that there is no purification without kindness. Nothing needs to be forcibly torn away. Just as a river cleans its banks over time, repetition patient dissolves old patterns. It's not immediate. It's not dramatic. It's constant. And for that's right, deep. At the end of each repetition, observe. Don't look for visions or grandiose signs. Observe the simplicity, the thought that didn't come back, the reaction that didn't happen, the rest that appeared for no apparent reason. These are the real signs that something has been purified. When the inside becomes clear, the path ahead also becomes clear. Purification prepares the ground for something even more subtle, true presence. If you feel that this word touched a sensitive spot, stay. What comes next doesn't require cleaning. It requires attention. Once alignment organizes the interior and purification creates space, something rare becomes possible. To truly be here, not just with the body but with your entire attention. Presence is not a forced state. It comes when nothing else needs to be pushed or removed. It happens when the now stops being an interval between past and future and reveals itself as the only place where life really happens. There is a word that leads to this state. Short, simple, almost imperceptible. Repeating it, we do not seek rigid concentration, but softness. As someone observing the movement of clouds without trying to name them. This word does not arrest the mind, she the release. And when you let go, your attention returns to the present moment on its own. We are almost always absent. The body is in one place, but the thought has already left. We anticipate responses. We relive conversations, we rehearse scenarios that we may never have seen before. Happen. This fragmentation robs us of energy and clarity. The word of presence acts like a silent call. Come back, not to correct the past, not to control the future, just to inhabit this moment completely. When repeated calmly, This word slows down internal time. Not the watch, but the feeling. The minutes stop slipping through your fingers. A simple gesture, drinking water, walk, breathe, regain depth. Life stops being a sequence of tasks and it becomes a continuous experience again. Presence also reveals something uncomfortable at first, what we avoided feeling. But, unlike what we fear, it does not destroy us. On the contrary, by being present, emotions do not accumulate. They pass. Like the wind that crosses a mountain without leaving it smaller, feeling does not weaken us. Resist, yes. In the modern world, we have been trained to always live one step ahead. Results, goals, comparisons. But presence teaches that no action is truly effective when it is born from absence. Only when we are fully here do our choices carry coherence. It is in this state that we talk less and say more. We do less and we perform better. If this idea touches you now, realize this is no coincidence. It is the presence itself recognizing. If this sensation makes sense, it is a sign that something inside has already awakened and started listening. Stay. Don't speed up. This video doesn't require rushing. It requires presence. The word of presence promises neither ecstasy nor escape. It offers something rarer, wholeness. When we are whole, we don't need to fill voids. We do not seek success as compensation. Success becomes the consequence of a life lived carefully, not of a blind race. At the end of each repetition, do not evaluate. Just note the sound around, body weight, a breathing happening alone. These simple details are portals. It is in them that the invisible becomes perceptible. And when presence is established, the next stage of the path naturally arises, confidence. Not a blind trust, but a lucid surrender to the flow that sustains everything. That's where we're headed now. When presence is established, something begins to dissolve naturally. The need to control. This is where trust is born, not as blind belief, but as silent recognition that life knows how to move. Trust does not arise from assurance of results, but of intimacy with the path. She is the rest that appears when we realize that we are not alone in the flow. There is a word that supports this state. By repeating it, we do not ask for protection or certainties. We just let go, like someone opening their hands after holding them closed for too long. This word does not push the future or correct the past. She anchors the heart in the understanding that each step is already part of something bigger. Trust is difficult because we were taught to monitor everything. Results, opinions, deviations, errors. We grow up believing that if we let go for a moment, everything will fall apart. But notice the nature. Nothing in it is tense. The seed trusts the dark earth. The leaf trusts the wind that release it. The river trusts the slope that guides it. Nothing requires guarantees to exist. The word of trust acts gently on fear. Do not eliminate it by force, but crosses. When repeated calmly, it reminds us that not everything needs to be resolved now. Not every answer needs to be known. There are decisions that mature alone when not pressured. In modern life, we confuse trust with passivity, but trust does not mean stopping acting. It means acting without rigidity. It's doing what needs to be done without carrying the burden of controlling what outcome. When we trust, the body moves more intelligently. Intuition wins space. Anxiety loses control. Think of someone crossing a bridge looking only at their feet, tense, anticipating the fall. Now imagine that same person taking a deep breath, realizing the structure that supports each step. The bridge doesn't change. What changes is the relationship with her. A trust transforms the crossing, not the path. This word teaches that true success does not come from constant vigilance, but from cooperation with the invisible. There are encounters that only happen when they are not forced. There are opportunities that only arise when we stop chasing them. Trust creates space for the unexpected to reveal itself as an ally. As you repeat it, notice the small signs, the rush that diminishes, the comparison that loses strength, the feeling that you don't need to prove anything to anyone. These are signs clear that trust has begun to take root. Trust is also accepting that not everything will be comfortable, but even the discomfort passes to be seen as part of the movement, not as a mistake. When we trust, We stop interpret every obstacle as failure. They become bends in the path, no locks. And when that trust stabilizes, something new happens. The four words begin to unite. Alignment, purification, presence, and trust are no longer separate practices and become a single living gesture. It is this integration that gives depth to the path, and that is what we are heading towards now. When the four words are no longer remembered separately, something changes. They begin to act as a single movement, a continuous gesture that goes through the day without need to be invoked all the time. Alignment, purification, presence, and trust come. Together they merge as stages of the same breath. Inspire, release, to feel, deliver. At this point on the path, it is no longer necessary to repeat the words with a tense mind. They have already descended into the body. They are in the way you wake up, in the way you listen someone without preparing answers, in the way you decide without getting violent. The integration. It happens when practice stops being a conscious effort and becomes posture. Imagine walking through a familiar forest. In the beginning, each step requires attention. Over time, the body learns the rhythm. You no longer need to think about where to step. The path reveals itself beneath your feet. The four words do this to life. They train the spirit until the flow becomes natural. Alignment ensures that you do not fight yourself. The purification asks that carry unnecessary weights. Presence anchors your attention in the now. The trust allows you to move forward without requiring guarantees. Together, they create a state of silent coherence. And it is from this coherence that a different success is born. Less showy, more lasting. In modern life, we look for quick formulas to change external results. But the integration of these words points to another direction, changing the quality of the relationship with the what happens. When this relationship changes, the results reorganize themselves, no because they were persecuted, but because they started to make sense. This integrated state does not eliminate challenges. It changes the way you go through them. What once seemed like a personal attack is now seen as part of the movement. The error, it ceases to be identity. Delay is no longer failure. Everything gets context. Everything finds a place. There are days when one word speaks louder than the others. In moments of confusion, alignment returns. In phases of excess, purification is necessary. When the scattered mind, presence calls. In the face of the unknown, trust sustains. Integration is not rigidity. It is living adaptability. Over time, you realize something subtle. Repeating words doesn't change the world around immediately. It changes you. And by changing you, you change the way the world responds. Conversations become more honest. Simpler decisions. Paths before unlikely things begin to open up without visible effort. This is the living ritual of the four words. Not a mechanical mantra, but a reminder, constant understanding of how to inhabit one's life with silent dignity. When they integrate, you no longer need to prove success. It expresses itself in the serenity of the step, in the clarity of the gaze, in the calm firmness of someone who knows when to act and when to wait. And when this integration stabilizes, something profound reveals itself. The path is not at hand, front. It happens now. It is from this recognition that the cycle closes, and at the same time, it opens up to something even broader. When the cycle of four words is completed, something curious happens. There is no sensation of arrival. There is no definitive landmark, no illuminated endpoint. What emerges is more subtle, a different way of being in the world, a quieter way of walking, like someone who learned to listen to the ground before taking the next step. In this state, success ceases to be a distant object. He is no longer tied to goals, rigid or external validation. It manifests itself in the way you wake up and breathe, in the way you respond to the unexpected, in the ability to remain whole even when circumstances fluctuate. This is a success that doesn't make noise, but it sustains. The four words do not promise protection against impermanence. They teach you how to dance with her. Like the seasons that do not resist change but embody it, you begin to understand that everything that arrives also leaves, and everything that leaves makes room for something new, not as a loss, but as a natural movement, perhaps a long, This path, you realize something simple and profound. It was not the world that needed to be adjusted. It was the look. When the gaze changes, reality responds otherwise. Not because it was forced, but because it was finally recognized. There is a serenity that comes when we stop demanding that life prove its value, when we stop negotiating with the future and start honoring the present. It's in this space that the invisible approaches, not as a clear voice, but as a calm intuition. No as an order, but as a whisper. These words can be repeated silently, in the middle of the day as you walk or wait. They don't ask for a special setting. They work in the common, in everyday life. Know the moment you choose not to react automatically, the moment you decide listen before responding, in the simple gesture of trusting a little more. If you got here, it wasn't by chance. Something in you recognized this rhythm, and recognizing is already an act of return, a reminder that there is a possible path between the excessive effort and giving up, a path that is not imposed but reveals itself. If you want to continue walking with us through this silent territory, subscribe to channel and allow these reflections to continue to accompany your days. Each video is an invitation to deepen this dialogue with the invisible that sustains everything that lives. Now, take the 4 words with you, not as a formula, but as a presence. Repeat when you feel it, silence when you need to, trust when the path seems uncertain. And before we say goodbye, let this question echo softly within you without seek immediate response. What if what we call destiny is just the whisper of the kami who give us, have they been with you since birth?